This crazy lore detail was inside the game for over 18 years. And with the latest Resident Evil 4 remake trailers, we can now understand how these giant monsters were created. We are talking about El Gigantes, these 22 feet monsters, and the true story behind their creation that Capcom didn't tell us about. So let me explain. In the Resident Evil 4, we encountered 3 El Gigantes, one in the village and 2 in the castle segment. The one in the village that we faced doesn't die the first time and follow us for a second time after the cabin fight. But weirdly enough, we don't encounter any El Gigantes in the island segment, which is weird because inside the labs we find the most lore accurate resembles and hints about how they are made. But there are no El Gigantes inside of that island. You see, the most popular theory about El Gigantes' origin is that they are a byproduct of these terrifying creatures called regenerators. If you take a good look into the freezer room, you face some of the failed regenerators that look like El Gigantes. And if you read the file called Luis Memo 3, you find out that El Gigantes, Novisadors and regenerators are merely a byproduct of inhuman experience conducted on the specimens that were once human. And with all this information given, players had a lot of crazy and good theories that El Gigantes were produced from human test subjects during Los Iluminados' experiment on the mutation effects of the Las Plagas. But what if I tell you the actual story is something else? And the evidence of it was in the game all this time. But unfortunately, it was removed by Capcom. But why they removed this crucial part of the story and decided to make it hidden? For better understanding, let me tell you a story about Hideo Kojima when he created the best game of all time. Better yet, let us hear it from Kojima himself.
なんかシナリオも短い期間で作られたみたいな。
あれがね、地獄だったよ。ベロインカのシナリオ書かれて、まあバイオ2もやられてるんですけど、その杉村先生亡くなった。
はいはい。
先生って言って、僕ずっと先生って、先生、バイオ4のシナリオを頼みたいんです。で、企画内容を説明して、こうですって。分かったよって言って。で、どれぐらいでやればいいんだよって言ったら、1ヶ月です。ちょっと待ってよ。ちょっと待ってよ。
思い出すわ。
ちょっと待ってよっていうで、普通プロットでしょっていう。いや、プロットじゃないんですよ。第1項が全部まああと修正が入ってもいいですけど、第1項は1ヶ月でっていう。いや無理だよそれって。いやもう先生しかこういう無茶をお願いできる人いないんですよ。こんなん普通の人だったらしばかれるから先生のやつをこういうって言ったんだけど、ちょっと考えさせて、やっぱり無理だよ三上君。じゃあいいです。あとこっちでやりますんで。って言って先生を東京に返して俺がやることに。で2週間ぐらいで全部書き上げたんだけど、まあ定時以降家帰って、まあ、8時9時ぐらいから書き始めて朝5時6時まで書いて、昼出社にしてもらって2週間ぐらいで書き上げたのがあれで、あれねちょっと特殊でもう時間がなかったし、シナリオもあって敵とかのデザインできなかったのよ。だから実はほとんどの敵のデザイン画を最初に上げてたんだよ。
それに当てて書いたんですか？
当てて書いた。
うわすごいなそれ。
そうなんだよ。だからもうある程度の敵ってデザインが大体8割ぐらい決まってて、そこに当てて書くっていう。で時間がなくってっていうぐらい追い詰められた割にすごいいい仕事ができて。
In this video, we find out that Kojima had a little time to finish the base story for Resident Evil 4, and that includes enemy types as well. So basically, the game was rushed by developers and they had to remove some things to make it scarier, to add more mystery into the game. You see, the whole process of how El Gigantes were made was explained inside of this note, but it was removed from the final version of the game and is only readable in the Japanese tutorial version, which is a version only made for developers to debug the game and not many have access to it. But thanks to this YouTuber, we can now see this note and find out the true story of El Gigantes. Precaution for believers during purification. Those who are in process of purification will be temporarily violent, so can find them and keep an eye on them. At this time, even the members of their families should not be allowed near the cleansing ones. Do not release the purifiers without my confirmation, as some will pretend to regain consciousness and try to escape. Those who do not return to consciousness for a long time may turn into El Gigantes and are dangerous. Note will end here. Even with some rough translations, we can still understand what happened in the days before Leon's arrival. This note states that after receiving Las Plagas, hosts must stay away from others because they will get violent, so lock them up until they become conscious. If they don't go back to normal, they are dangerous and may turn into El Gigantes, so they will lock them up. And that explains why we don't see any El Gigantes inside of the island. And that's why El Gigantes are inside of these cage-like places. As we saw inside of the game, Gyarados can control these giant monsters. So how they are locked up, and if they were made inside of the labs, how did they move them to the village and castle? As far as I know, Sadler didn't have any helicopters or any type of equipment to transport these big giant monsters. The only logical explanation is that they were locked up before the transformation because they were not made inside of the island laboratories and they were just some sort of mutation of Las Plagas. And with the latest trailer from Resident Evil 4, we can see a giant skull that belongs to an El Gigante, and that proves that this creature existed long before the revival of the new Lus Illuminatus, probably in the medieval times, and Capcom removed the evidence to add more mystery. And that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to share it with your friends who also like to know about El Gigantes. I am Arshio Taefe Yavari and this is Redfield.